because I don't have a screen in front of me, so I'm going to try and see what I'm doing whilst I'm doing it, but it'll make sense why later. So I'm here to talk about PyStorm. My name is Andrew Hutchings. I'm also known as Linux Jedi. During the day, I work for a non-profit called the MariaDB Foundation. And by night, I restore Commodore Amigas, Acorn computers, I design upgrades for them, and I'm part of the PyStorm community and a whole bunch of other things. I've also written for Pixel Addict, so go buy that, because the next issue's got a big article by me in it. And I'm also going to plug, that picture there was made by Stu Cambridge, who, from Sensible Soccer fame, he did Cannon Fodder and all of that lot, and you can get him to do doodles of you just like that from his site. What's it called now? Design Droid. It's it, Design Droid. So he doesn't know I'm plugging it, but I love his work. So, so anyway, about PyStorm. It was a project created by a guy called Claude Schwartz, and if you've ever tried to use or upgrade a Commodore Amiga today, you need a processor like a 68030 or a 68060. Now, if you want a 68060 with a board and RAM and everything like that, you need to sell a kidney, basically. They are really rare, really expensive nowadays. So the idea was to create a very fast budget accelerator. And you can get a lot of compute resources from something called a Raspberry Pi, which you probably all know about. So what this essentially does is it emulates the 68000 processor on a Raspberry Pi, running Linux originally, but the rest of the Amiga motherboard was used, and then it adds things such as RTG. Now RTG stands for retargetable graphics. Get my words out there. And essentially that means it's like a second graphics card for your Amiga. So this is what I'm actually projecting from right now.
Hey there, and welcome back to Hold and Modify, YouTube's most poorly produced, underproduced Amiga channel. It's Q, and that is just the letter Q, you know, zero, or not a zero. Wait, zero with a line in the corner makes a Q, right? This computer will rule the world. I've made a lot of videos using 3D software like VistaPro, Scenery Animator, Lightwave 3D, my favorite, and most recently World Construction Set, which I am going to do another video on once I learn better how to use it, because that program is pretty wild. Like, I'm excited about it, really, kind of, actually. I don't know, it's kind of freaking me out. But anyway, for those who don't know me, who don't watch this channel, or this is your first time here, I was in visual effects in Hollywood for like 15, 16 years. I got my start way, way back in the day, right after like the whole Babylon 5 Sequest era kind of ended, and then like the Voyager and other things, and Firefly, Battlestar Galactica, Aerostar. That's kind of like where I kind of started my visual effects career. But people often ask me, so what did you use, man? What did you go to school? I was like, no, I didn't go to school. There was no really, back then there really wasn't a lot of schools, or they were hard to get into, or they were expensive to get into. So what software did you use? What did you do? Well, I kind of just taught myself, with my Amiga 3000, I was fortunate enough to have, and I used 3D software off the shelf. And the first 3D software off the shelf I ever used was not Lightwave 3D. No, not at all. It was actually Imagine 2.0 from Turbo Silver. Now, well, no, I'm sorry, not from Turbo Silver. It was from the company Impulse, and then their first software was Turbo Silver. And then they came out with Imagine 1.0, and then Imagine 2.0, and I think they went all the way up to version 4 before they finally pulled the plug. But Imagine 2.0 was the first 3D software I ever used on my Amiga. And I actually used this for a long time. I used this, even when I was starting to animate in Lightwave, I was still modeling in Imagine, because it took me a long time to figure out how to model in Lightwave. And as some of you know who are regulars on my channel, what does Q not like to do? He does not like to model. I hate modeling. Don't take pictures of me. I'm not going to take my shirt off. If I do, you're probably going to throw up. I don't like modeling, and basically Imagine made modeling easier in my mind. So I used Imagine for a long time, even after using Lightwave. So what I wanted to do for all of you here today was go ahead and install Imagine. And yeah, as you can already see up here, spoiler, Babylon 5 models for Imagine. Thank you, Junshi. I don't know if you're still around. I appreciate that you made these models for Imagine. We're going to check them out, hopefully. Do I remember how to use Imagine, even though I used it for like 3 years? No, not at all. That's going to be a disaster. I'm sure, this is going to just not be any kind of thing you should ever want to do yourself. All right, so because, yes, we're using the, modern version of Workbench 3.2.2.1, that is the guys, you really need to just like round this up or something. Oh my gosh. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and install Imagine 2. I think I have all I need. Let's open this up here. By the way, I want to thank a lot of you for who do watch my videos. You suggested that on these kind of videos where I'm using my M3 iMac and I'm using FSUAE, don't set it to 68060 Q. Don't do that. That's ridiculous. Set it to 68020 or even 68040 with the FPU 688882, whatever. That's all you need. Don't go to 68060. You're going to have better performance, better reliability with the emulator, And so I've done that for this run that you're watching. I've done that. So here we go. Here's Imagine. And all the stuff you're seeing here, this is because you can actually boot off this disk and it'll just load right into the program. I'm going to go ahead and just, well, let's see here. Let's click in here. And let's do a show all files. Is there going to be a bunch more stuff in here? Oh, there is. So there's no installer, but that's not the end of the world, folks. Okay, so there's a bunch of other stuff in here. So let's go ahead and fire up our good old buddy Dopus. And we're going to go to wherever that is I was just at, which I think is here. No, it's not. That's not at all where it's at. Oh, look, I'm going to show you how to make, see over here, by the way, these are like shortcuts to drives and things, on your Amiga. I'm going to show you how to make these in Dopus right now. So you hit the little C button on here for configuration, right? Configuration. We're going to click on drives. And this blank here, we're going to click on it. And let's go ahead and we're going to make it orange text, blue background, and we're going to call this, oh, I don't know, Vault, because that sounds really, impressive and stoic. And then you click on the little magnifying glass for path, click to volumes, click Amiga, click OK. So Amiga is my share. That's the share in my NAS. Click OK, click save, and then OK. Oh, there it is. Look at that Vault. Yay. Right, so system install. We're going to go down to Imagine all the people. Yeah, I had to say that. Okay, over here, we're going to go to work. And let's go ahead and create a folder called Imagine. All right, so now I've got our wonderful Imagine work folder here created. And I need to get access to that virtually mounted floppy drive. So it's not going to be DF0. All right, it's going to be, this makes a lot of sense, right? DA0. That's the Workbench, modern Workbench, virtual floppy mounty drive designation, I guess. I don't know why, but it is. So I'm going to grab all of this stuff here. What I don't need are the things that I don't need. So I don't need I don't need libs. These are the info files. I'm not going to copy those things. The DCTV library, I probably don't need. I'm not going to be using it here on the virtual LANs. So in fact, let's just go ahead and turn that off. It's cool that it supports that. This is a demo pick, which is cool. Here's their viewer programs. So, you know, the Imagine, apparently 2.0, and my memory, you know, is really bad, is, you know, a 600K program. It came on one floppy disk. There you go. Gonna go ahead and copy that over there. There it goes. Quit. Get all the stuff. Close this to, oh, you know what? We're not done yet, are we? I didn't, oops. Okay, so see how this has a name that's ridiculously long? We're gonna change that right now and just call this, yeah, we're not gonna do that. We're gonna call this B5.adf. Boom. So he's got the Delta Fighter and the Soul Hunter ship, the Tyranid and the Vorlon. Ooh, neat. What's this pick file here? Ooh, look at that. Look at that. Hey, a freaking Star Fury in Imagine and a giant marshmallow in space. Okay, cool, man. Hey, folks, don't laugh. Don't you dare laugh. This was a long time ago. It was like 35 years ago. Computers, all right? And these are people working at home. They don't have any formal training. They just love what they're doing, and they're doing a good job. I appreciate it. All right, so let's grab this. Let's grab this and this stuff and click copy. And out of respect, can we read this doc file? Yeah, here we go. Hey, thank you for downloading these models I created. I hope you find them of some use. This is back in June 24, 1994. Oh my gosh. 1994, folks. Yes. All right, Tyranid, bonus model. Okay, so it's not a Babby model. Oh, look at that Babby. That's cute. None of the models have any colors or textures attached, but I'll leave that for you to play around with. Thank you. The above craft is taken from my favorite episode so far, Soul Hunter. Martin Sheen was the original Soul Hunter, by the way. Yeah, that Martin Sheen in Babylon 5. I think later on it was played by different people, or there was more Soul Hunters that showed up, but Martin Sheen, ladies and gentlemen, was actually in Babylon 5. The effects in Babby make me weep. Babby. I don't know if I agree with this Babby thing. I'm not sure about that. Maybe the acting will get better. And yeah, there's some interesting spelling errors here, but you know what? 1994, folks. If you decide to use any of the above, all I ask is for a small credit of thanks. Enjoy. Sculpted by Junsi. Well, you know what, Junsi? Thank you. I'm giving you credit right here. Thank you. I hope you're still alive and well and having a great time with life. Appreciate it. Hold and modify. I love everything you're doing. Thank you for putting this up there. All right, so we've got those there. Assuming I can actually load them. I could just, I can say all the things I want to say, but it really doesn't matter if I can't figure out how to load this stuff, right? Let's eject these disks now that we don't need them. Here we go, eject. Now, let's go to work. Clean up by name. Oh, we're getting bigger here. Oh, I love using native Amiga resolutions. Like, here we are, high-res interlace, but now I'm starting to run out of space, right? Oh boy, is Q gonna have to activate RTG mode to get more space? Let's go ahead and snapshot all. And look, there's World Construction Set. No last video. There's Imagine. Alrighty, Imagine. Go ahead there. We're gonna do a snapshot again. This just cleans things up. It keeps it neat, right? When you open it up, it just keeps it neat. So we'll fire up Imagine this. You have an incorrect NTSC PAL version of Imagine. That's interesting. Okay, we're back again, and I've rebooted the Amiga, and I've rebooted it into PAL mode, all right? I think maybe Imagine has PAL and NTSC versions, which makes some sense because there is math and timing involved, and they may have just hard-coded NTSC or PAL. So now that we're in PAL Amiga, let's see what happens. There you go, look at that. So we're in PAL Imagine Amiga mode right now, and it's working. I remember this screen. It's a beautiful screen, by the way. I love this. I'm trying to remember how to use this. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is new project, and we're gonna go ahead, sorry, I already have my objects there. We're gonna go ahead and call this test, because, test. So here's how Imagine works, guys and gals. Is a detail editor, a forms editor, a cycle editor, a stage editor, an action editor. Now, I'm doing this from 35-year-old memory. I've not used this program in 35 years. The stage editor is where you set up the parameters for your animation. Like, how long it's going to be, that kind of stuff. The action editor, I believe, is where you actually do animation, like move the box across the screen left to right. The cycle editor, I have no memory what this is. It might be just for doing, I don't know, it could be doing loops or something maybe. It could, looping an animation might actually be considered a separate thing. The forms editor, I think, might be the modeling area, the modeling focused area, or the detail editor could be the modeling focused area, or it could be like the texturing area. So let's go ahead and let's go to forms. Okay, so forms, this looks like a modeler. Yeah, this is definitely a modeler. Now, one of the things you're gonna notice right away is along the bottom, you see all these little buttons down here. I do remember this. All these buttons down here, you can customize them. And one of the neat little tricks I'm remembering I did back in the day is, see how they say select here? It's S-E-L-E-C-T. Well, once you start using this program, you can change the name of this. You can take select down to S-E-L, which shortens the button. It makes it smaller, what's that mean? You can have more buttons, right? So this is how you would kind of you could eventually like populate this whole bottom bar with all your little buttons. And if you got really, really clever, you could have all of your buttons only use a single letter and you knew exactly what it was. It's kind of like your own little shorthand. So that was kind of a neat feature. But I do remember the stage editor, which I know looks just the same. All these editors look the same. Oh my God. By the way, look how it says stage editor. Frame 1. Again, it is animation, and you can see here now we have this little thing here that wasn't here before. This is probably like the light or the camera. I'm not sure. And let's go to the cycle editor, which again is going to look the same. And now here it says cycle editor, cell 0. I wonder if this is some kind of like onion skin 2D animation tool. Not sure. Oh yeah, look, cell first last. That's this. Yeah, this might be some kind of maybe 2D style animation editor. The project editor, which is this thing here, the action editor. Okay, so the action editor, this is where, I'm sorry, I was confusing the action editor with the stage editor. So the action editor is kind of like your scene overview. This is where you're setting like the highest frame number, right? So the highest frame number of our animation is going to be 30. So there you go. You can see here, now we've got all these frames here. So you've got the camera, look at these globals, and we don't have any objects yet. So this is where you define like how big the project is. This is an Excel spreadsheet. I don't want to animate with an Excel. Can you see why I switched to Lightwave 3D? For animation, where you're just like looking through a camera. I don't want to animate through an Excel spreadsheet. But to be fair, that's not true. This was just where you would set it up. Let's load up the Delta Fighter. There she is. Oh, look at all this stuff. So here you go, the Delta Fighter. And here's our perspective view. And like I said, these manipulate this view. See that right there? You can manipulate the view in Imagine doing that. You know, it works. It's not the most convenient way to do stuff, but it works. Now I'm trying to see if I can move the view over here. And I'm not seeing that. I'm right-clicking, I'm left-clicking. Okay. I was trying to move this to, oh, you know what? Look, move. Oh, that's interesting. Look, I'm clicking move and it doesn't let me move, right? How about rotate? No, move, no. I'm just trying to move the view around. That's not doing it. I can zoom out. Okay, see how I can zoom out. There we go. That's a little better. Now we can see more of the stuff, the amazingness of it. So yeah, this is the detail editor. Now, how do you render this? Can you render from the detail editor? Aha, camera view. And guess who this is? Here's our camera right here. So we'll click this, then we got to go back down and click on move, M-O-V, and now we can do what? This? And this should update, right? Is it going to update? Let me zoom out here. So yes, the stage editor is where you do the animation. You notice I'm moving the camera. This view isn't updating though. Why is that not updating? Okay. Ah, there you go. So you got to click OK. You move the camera around and you got to click OK. So how do we rotate the camera? Rotate, I'm assuming. Oh, yep, look at that. It's moving. It's moving. Now that I've done that, I want to do a quick render. Oh, wait, here, preferences. Oh my God, look at the preferences. Oh, geez. Oh my goodness. Oh no. A lot of stuff here, folks. But hey, you can completely customize the program, it looks like. Okay, well, let's go ahead and hit cancel and let this redraw. Let's go ahead now and say quick render. No lights? Oh, yeah, no lights. Go. Error rendering. Ah, yes. Okay, cool. That's exactly what I wanted. So what if I say object add? Oh, look at this, light source. Oh, can I go render now? Oh my gosh, yay! I did a thing again, I did a thing again. Look at that, there's like stuff happening. This is why I use Lightwave. This, you know what this is? Here's Imagine, by the way. You know, Imagine 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, 4.0. They're all pretty much the same. It's this all over again. They just keep adding stuff. This is why I use Lightwave. I mean, I hate to keep saying that, but I mean, look, that was Imagine. I used that for 3 years. And I don't remember anything about it. Lightwave, right? Look, objects. Load an object. Like, I don't know. What do you want to load? Something like, let's load a mug. What is a mug 3? What? Okay, so look, a mug. How do you look through the camera? Oh, yeah, view up here. See where it says view? Look through the camera. So now we're looking through the camera. I want to edit the camera and I want to move it. Oh, look at that. I can just move it and I can rotate it. See, this is what I'm talking about. And then I want the camera to be here. So create a keyframe. And then let's go to the end. Look at this. Look at this little thing down here, by the way. You can slide the timeline. Now, I'm not trying to, rip on Imagine. I mean, I used the program for a long time, but you have to remember too, it was also, Imagine was one of the early 3D programs. It came out before, Lightwave. It was they had no idea what was going on. So they just tried to do the best they could do. And that's, why, it's so awesome that Lightwave finally did come out. And I would argue that Lightwave was one of the first kind of like, almost what you see is what you get intuitive type animation programs. I mean, here we go. We just created an animation that fast. And, we go like this. We got some stuff. D2, because, I'm set to PAL right now, which is fine. And press the F9 button, the render button, and you get like a render of this, what is this, a mug? There you go. Look at that. It's beautiful. It's a circle. It looks just like the Imagine render I showed you. And now I look like a complete ass. All right. Well, anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you appreciate my efforts in showing you archaic, ancient software on Amiga. That's just not demos and games. It's actually some of the amazing graphic software. We showed Imagine and Lightwave. And who knows what I'm going to show next time. I don't know, really. And yeah, that's it. I'm done with this video.
So, a week or two ago I received this. It's the PowerShark, an ultra compact USB-C power supply for the Amiga 500, 600 and 1200, and I want to find out if it lives up to my expectations. So in this video I'm going to try it out, then we'll test how well it can protect the Amiga by pushing it to its absolute limits. Finally, we'll take a quick look inside to see what makes this thing tick. Firstly, disclaimers. I just want to state that Mad Hackers Lab, maker of the PowerShark, have not sponsored me to make this video. They don't even know I am making it. And with that out of the way, let's start by taking a look at what you get. It comes in this nice little box, and upon opening it you can see the device. It really is small. You can see on the back it has a connector for USB-C and a dedicated power switch. Inside the lid we can find some instructions and a sticker. Now the first thing you need to understand here is the USB-C connection. And no, the PowerShark logo is not lost on me. Check out that shark mouth. That's a USB-C connector. Anyway, that aside, the first thing you need to know is that this won't work with probably every USB-C power supply that you have, and this is not their fault. Normal USB 1, 2 and 3 connectors provide only 5 volts. USB-C is a lot more intelligent, and it's possible for a USB-C device to communicate with the power supply and ask for a different voltage. This is known as USB-C Power Delivery or PD. Now there are several revisions to this specification. The first revision allowed for 5 volts, 12 volts and 20 volts at different power levels. These 6 profiles were fixed and could not change. The second revision changed this to 5 volts, 9 volts, 15 and 20, dropping the 12 volts. And the device can support multiple revisions of the standard. A third revision changed this entirely and allowed the device to request power between 3.3 volts and 21 volts in tiny 20 millivolt increments. And not surprisingly, this was revised again to include voltages as high as 28, 36 and 48, and with an adjustable voltage between 15 and 48 in steps of 100 millivolts. Wow, you better make sure you have a suitable USB-C cable for those power requirements. Finally, well, at least at the time this video was made, a revision 3.2 of the PD spec was launched. This updated the previous adjustable power supply range to go down as low as 9 volts. What a complicated mess! And there's a whole load of other protocols for power delivery too, which I'm not even going to get into. So why does this matter? Well, the PowerShark requires a USB-C power supply that can output 12 volts, and depending on which revisions of the spec they support, not all of them do. However, a handy list of tested power supplies have been provided, and I happen to have several USB-C power supplies here that do work. So, let's first test this out on some Amigas. First up, this is my Amiga 500 Plus with an RGB to HDMI inside and an A590 with blue SCSI inside, modded to use the Amiga's power supply. And as you can see, it's booting perfectly. No issues there. Looking a little closer, you can see that the PowerShark has indeed requested 12 volts, and it's currently using about 1.6 amps. Just to test a little bit more, I'll use a floppy disk to get the motor spinning. Okay, let's try my Amiga 1200. This one has a PiStorm 32 Lite inside, and this appears to be working fine too, this time using only 900 milliamps. Once again, I'll insert a disk and make sure it's working okay. All good so far. And one interesting trick. You may have in the past power cycled your Amiga too quickly or had a momentary glitch in the power in your house, and this can sometimes give you a guru or software failure. Well, the PowerShark prevents you from doing this far too quickly, which is a nice little feature. So rather than getting random errors, you'll know there's been a power problem. So on first tests it appears to work perfectly fine. However, let's see how it'll stand up to a fight. We'll test the device can actually deliver the specification on the PowerShark website using a good USB-C power supply. Next, we'll use a less powerful USB-C supply and try to overload it and see what happens. After that, we'll try using a USB-C power supply that can't deliver 12 volts. In round 4, we'll push the PowerShark hard and see how far beyond spec I can take it. Round 5 is all about suddenly increasing power usage, which can cause power spikes, especially in other voltages. This round will be quick. I want to short out the PowerShark to see if it firstly doesn't kill it, and secondly to see if it handles it gracefully. Round 7 will be a sneaky round. I'll intercept the USB-C power supply and decrease it, simulating an unstable supply, and we'll see what happens to the PowerShark when it no longer gets a good 12 volts. And finally, round 8. I'll use the same setup as before, only this time instead of decreasing the voltage, we'll see how the PowerShark handles an overvoltage situation. And if it survives all of that, then I'll be impressed, and it will make a very reliable and safe supply for your Amiga too. Now, I'll be ignoring the minus 12 volt output from the PowerShark as its use is very limited, mostly just used by the audio circuits. To perform all of these tests, I've constructed a rather crazy looking test rig. What I have here is the PowerShark connected to 2 adjustable loads, as well as my oscilloscope. The oscilloscope has been set in AC mode because I want to see how much noise there is on the voltages produced. And as you can see right now, it's quite low, and that scale is in millivolts. It's actually possible that the noise you are seeing here is actually coming from the USB-C power supply and not the PowerShark at all. Anyway, the blue trace is 5 volts and the yellow 12 volts. Below the scope you can see the PowerShark itself, and next to it are the 2 variable power loads. These allow me to force a specific current to be drawn from the PowerShark on the 5 volt and 12 volt supplies. To the right of them is a USB power meter which will measure the actual voltage and power on the USB-C cable before it goes into the PowerShark. With all that set up, let's see if the PowerShark can survive 8 rounds. Round 1! So let's start with the 12 volt rail, and I'll push that up to 1 amp. You'll notice that the moment the fan kicks in on these loads, the signal on the oscilloscope starts to go crazy. It is just the fan, which you can clearly see if I stop it for a moment with my finger. This does make the oscilloscope output a bit less useful, but I'll keep it here just in case. So the 12 volts seems fine anyway, so let's turn that off and try the 5 volt. This should go up to 4.5 amps perfectly fine. And indeed it does. You'll notice that the output from the USB-C power supply has dropped a little due to the current now being drawn. This could be the power supply or resistance in the cables. You may also have spotted that the noise on the 12 volt line has increased too. And this time, as you can see when I stop the fan, it's not from there. Again, this is most likely coming from the USB-C power supply, and is still a very small amount of noise. But more importantly, the 5 volts doesn't really seem to be getting any noisier. Just for reference, here's the noise generated from an original Amiga power supply, the heavy one. And this from the slightly lighter one. The noise level actually seems to be fairly similar, so it's actually probably just background. Okay, so let's try both the 5 and the 12 volts at the same time. Seems fine. I'm going to leave this running for a few minutes and come back with my thermal camera. I want to see if there's any obvious signs of heat from the PowerShark, and indeed it does look like it's starting underneath to get a little bit warm. That's no real surprise, but 41 degrees Celsius, that's 105 degrees Fahrenheit, I wouldn't consider a problem. Round 2. Next up, I'm swapping it to a different USB-C power supply. It's only rated up to 20 watts, so let's see what happens. First, I'll power up the 12 volts up to 1 amp. And now I'll slowly ramp up the 5 volts. Notice that as I approach and overtake 20 watts, the output from the power supply starts to drop. And upon reaching about 10.8 volts, both the boards go crazy. What's actually happened is the PowerShark has just cut the power. Note that the LED on the PowerShark went red. A red light on the PowerShark usually means something's not right and it's not happy. This clearly is a great feature, and I suspect it's detecting undervoltage, but we'll find out more about that later on. Also note how the PowerShark doesn't restore the power automatically, and you need to power cycle it. Wow, off to a good start. It can easily deliver the standard specification, and it's able to detect when the power supply can't keep up with demand. But what about power supplies that can't handle the 12 volt output? Well, round 3. This power supply I'm using can only output 5 volts, and the PowerShark noticed and won't power up the Amiga. That's very handy too. Great! Now the device apparently can go beyond its spec temporarily, apparently even up to 2 amps on the 12 volt and 6 amps on the 5 volt, although this is only supposed to be for a very short amount of time. So I'm going to test what happens if they're like this for longer. Round 4. So I'm increasing the power on the 12 volt rail, and I'm taking it right up to 2.5 amps, and it's fine. I suppose it's not that much of a surprise given the USB-C power supply is doing most of the work here. So let's play with the 5 volt and ramp it up slowly beyond the 4.5 amps and see what happens. Now this little load generator thing doesn't go far enough, so I've added some resistors to bulk it up a little, so we'll need to watch the current with a multimeter. These resistors alone are drawing just under an amp, so let's ramp it up and see what happens. Wow, okay, the electronic load gave up before we even reached 6 amps, at 5.8 amps. That's impressive for such a small device, and yes, those resistors did get quite hot. The thermal camera said around 140 degrees Celsius. That's 284 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, so it's happy going way beyond spec. Next test, simulate sudden power surges from the Amiga, maybe from a blown component or something. I'll simulate this by suddenly introducing a large load on the 5 volt rail. Round 5. And with a sudden jump to 4.5 amps, the PowerShark caught that and turned off the power. Let's try that again on the 12 volt rail. And this one's interesting, it tripped to almost exactly 2 amps. Looking good so far. Next up, how does it handle the computer failing with a short circuit? Now not something you'd want to do normally, but when some parts fail, or if you incorrectly plug in something you shouldn't have, it can happen. So, let's see what the PowerShark does and if it goes bang. Round 6. Okay, so let's short out the 12 volt rail. Well, that made a little spark and then the power went out. But did the power shark survive? Sure did. After power cycling, the power's back. Let's try that again on the 5 volt. Same again, power went off. And did the power shark survive? Of course it did. Now these last two tests are a little bit more crazy to set up. We saw before a possible undervoltage situation that caused the power shark to switch off. In this test we'll try to confirm this. To simulate this undervoltage situation, I've added something extra in between the USB-C supply and the power shark that will let me interfere and change the voltage supplied via USB-C. So, starting on the left hand side, you can see the USB-C power comes from the top and makes its way through this crazy rig. The multimeter on the left hand side is showing the voltage that I'm supplying from an external power supply. That is then combined via diodes into the output. This output then goes into my power meter and from there into the power shark. Round 7. Right now it's all running and stable. The power shark already requested 12 volts and has powered up. However, because of my crazy rig, it's actually only getting 10.8 volts. Now I'm going to turn on my external power supply and bring that USB power meter back out of sleep, and then I'm going to disconnect the USB-C. Note that it's actually all happy at this point. Now I'm steadily going to decrease the input voltage. Wow, when the power shark reached 10.5 volts it killed the power, so undervoltage protection works perfectly. And finally, round 8. In this test I'm going to simulate an overvoltage situation where the USB-C power supply starts putting out more than 12 volts to see what the power shark does, and I'm using the same rig as before. I'm going to start by switching it all on and then slowly ramp up the external power supply. Ooh, once we hit 13.1 volts the power shark trips and cuts the power. That's fantastic! So this little device is indeed looking very good so far. Seems to have a fair amount of protection in place for our beloved machines. So, let's have a look inside and see what makes it tick. And I'm not going to reverse engineer it, that wouldn't be fair to the obvious amount of work that's gone into this, but we will take a look at a few interesting bits. So to get into this we need to remove this little screw. And there we go. It all comes apart. Now that's one tightly packed board, and note the Power Shark logo there too. There's obviously a lot of effort gone into this board. Let's take a closer look, see how they've made their own Amiga power connector. And there's Power Shark logos everywhere. This chip here is a P-channel MOSFET package. It's switching 12 volts, so this may be responsible for the power supply cutoff to the entire device. This tiny little chip here hiding at the back is a switch, capable of switching 2 amps. Given this rating and the fact that it also gets 12 volts, this is probably controlling the 12 volt output to the Amiga. Now looking at the board from a different angle, there's a 14-pin chip here labelled ARM N18974, and it took me a while to find out what it was. At first, with ARM written there, I thought it was a microcontroller, but I was wrong. It's actually a 6 amp step down converter, which I'm assuming is being used to generate the 5 volts, given this can handle up to 6 amps. I think we can now see where those maximum power ratings are coming from. Now how am I sure this is the correct part? Well, the package is the correct shape and the markings also seem to make sense too. Now, onto the back, and ignoring yet another shark, there's 2 parts worthy of note. This tiny chip here is a DC to DC converter responsible for generating the -12 volts output. And lastly, this chip. Perhaps in some ways this is the most important of all. This chip handles the communication with the USB-C power supply to request the required 12 volts to start with. And it looks like it supports several power delivery protocols, giving it the best chance of being able to select the required voltage. Now one last thing I really want to try is just to leave this running for a while at a normal load and measure how hot it does actually get. So I've set it up with the cover off, with a 12 volt load of half an amp and a 5 volt load of 1 amp. And I've left it powered like this for several minutes. Oh, and here's something I didn't spot before. Let me turn the lights off. Yes, there's LEDs on the bottom. Looking more closely, they're labelled 12 volts, -12 and 5 volts. That makes sense, a quick way to see if they're all working. Now, bringing in my thermal camera, we can see it's sitting quite happily at around 40 degrees centigrade on both sides. That's 104 degrees Fahrenheit. Now just for fun, I'm going to ramp up the power requirements to the maximum advertised spec and see how warm it gets. Well, that's close enough, and we'll leave that for a few minutes. Okay, it's up to 75 degrees Celsius, that's 167 degrees Fahrenheit. It's quite warm, but it's not over the top. The majority of the heat is coming from an inductor on the board, which I presume is part of the 5 volt supply. And there you have it, the Power Shark. A great little device, and it might even save your Amiga from a bad power supply with all the protection it offers. I was totally surprised it didn't contain any kind of microcontroller either. One thing I didn't mention was that if you get a TV or a monitor that powers from USB-C as well, then combined with a suitable power bank, your Amiga suddenly becomes totally portable, which is amazing! And this solution is so much nicer than those large power bricks from the old Amigas, and certainly a lot lighter too. Final thoughts? Well, if you ever team up with a shark for a fight, make sure it's a power shark. I'll certainly be getting another very shortly. I'm super impressed with this device. That being said, I hope you found this interesting, and if you did, give it a thumbs up. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one!
Howdy doodly do.
So, welcome to this short stream. It will be only a bit 20 minutes or so, but we will test it. So, if you want to join, hello. 20 minutes gameplay. Welcome to this short stream. It will be only. Yeah.
Go.
Testing stream and video at the same time. So, I hope you have a wonderful day, everyone, watching Amitopia TV from far and wide. Yeah. So, oh, there we have one more player. Everyone can join, of course, and let's have fun until 10 o'clock. Yes.
Go.
So I want to see how the transaction between the stream and video are. If they are good enough. No. Yeah.
Go.
Oh, that is a huge level. I'm a ghost already. Oh. Yeah, I hope you have a wonderful day. No! I wanted that one. Yeah, let's see. Arkanar is there. Good. For some reason, your name is still not showing. But I know you there. Amiga OS, you want to join? Let's see. Ooh, my first one today. Win. This is on my Amiga 1200, 060, 100 MHz with warp. 1260. The picture you see is from the warp vision scan doubler. So both of the sound and the picture from the Amiga is getting through that HDMI cable. And that is quite nice, I think. However, the cost of having such an Amiga is a bit high. But if you want to have an Amiga connected to your TV and also be able to play PAL games, this is a very good solution. Yeah. I see that you have no Power PC, but there's just black on your name. Maybe there's something in the movie settings that keeps me not from not seeing you. Yeah, it might be that. Wow. Wow. Let's see.
We've lost one.
No. The CPU won. Yeah, I think it's magic user interface thing. Yes.
Go.
Because if I use AmiFox, for example, it is black here. Maybe it is doing something. I don't know. Back to the game.
Go.
Oh. Oh. Move. No. I don't want to die. Not yet. No. Microsoft introduced darkness as a new standard. Oh la la. Amigas have humor. Don't they? Yeah, of course. Oh. I want your beam. CPU.
Go.
Okay. I'm ready. Ah, you deserve that one. Arknar. It was a good one.
Go.
Yeah, I think... I don't know why it's not showing. I have no idea. You don't need to find out? Chat window. Active. Speech, white background. Well, let's just play.
Go.
I need to find out. On my PyStorm, it's all okay. So I don't know why. It's the same version. Movie settings. No.
Go.
Maybe it's something here. Well, I will find out later on. Yes. No time for it. Okay. Good job.
Go.
Wow. Okay. Wow. It was too close for me.
Go.
Yeah, good.
Go.
On Thursday, I will try to stream Quake 2 gameplay on my PyStorm and see how it works on the stream. Need to try different types of games, both new and retro new. So on Thursday, I plan to no. Yeah, I deserve that. Yeah.
Go.
So we will try Quake 2 on Thursday. I'm dead. Ah, the CPU won. Yes. I don't know.
Go.
Maybe it is the screen mode? I have no idea why it's not showing. Because it shows the CPU name. And, what the heck is going on? What? Oh. Very nice. So, let's see. At 59, in 3 minutes, we have to. I will say goodbye for this time, and but I will be on the chat still. The program continues with Amiga news at 10 o'clock. Now I have a template of how to create the news, so it will be easy for me to make news every day, you know. Yeah.
Go.
Oh, that was a big level. Yeah. I'm a ghost already. Oh, I live. I live. I live. I live. No, I'm dead.
Go.
I don't agree with this. What? I was resurrected and you killed me.
Go.
Good. Good job.
Houston, we have a problem. Houston, we have a problem. We have a problem. Houston, we have a problem. Houston, we have a problem.
Okay. Last
Go.
Last level. Let's see. Someone. fucking. Oh. Okay, I won. Well, thanks for the match and have an awesome day. The videos continues.
because I don't have a screen in front of me, so I'm going to try and see what I'm doing whilst I'm doing it, but it'll make sense why later. So I'm here to talk about PyStorm. My name is Andrew Hutchings. I'm also known as Linux Jedi. During the day, I work for a non-profit called the MariaDB Foundation. And by night, I restore Commodore Amigas, Acorn computers, I design upgrades for them, and I'm part of the PyStorm community and a whole bunch of other things. I've also written for Pixel Addicts, so go buy that, because the next issue's got a big article by me in it. And I'm also going to plug that picture there was made by Stu Cambridge, who, from Sensible Soccer fame, he did Cannon Fodder and all of that lot. And you can get him to do doodles of you just like that from his site. What's it called now? Design Droid. It's it, Design Droid. So he doesn't know I'm plugging it, but I love his work. So. So anyway, about PyStorm. It was a project created by a guy called Claude Schwartz. And if you've ever tried to use or upgrade a Commodore Amiga today, you need a processor like a 68030 or a 68060. Now, if you want a 68060 with a board and RAM and everything like that, you need to sell a kidney, basically. They are really rare, really expensive nowadays. So the idea was to create a very fast budget accelerator. And you can get a lot of compute resources from something called a Raspberry Pi, which you probably all know about. So what this essentially does is it emulates the 68000 processor on a Raspberry Pi, running Linux originally, but the rest of the Amiga motherboard was used, and then it adds things such as RTG. Now RTG stands for retargetable graphics. Really get my words out there. And essentially that means it's like a second graphics card for your Amiga. So this is what I'm actually projecting from right now.
For the next 60 seconds, this station will conduct a test of the emergency broadcast system. This is only a test.
is always dark.